The formula for stress is, I say, too much to do, too little time and no energy.
That was
To me,
beautiful.
healthy emotion is that which stays only as long as you draw a line on the water. We are ignoring one important aspect when we talk about emotions, that our emotions are linked to the rhythms of our breath.
Thank you for your work in helping us to see ourselves and others more beautifully and more wholly and with greater levels of acceptance. From your perspective, what does emotional health look like in turbulent times?
We need to bring people to be more conscious about their own emotions, their own self, and what is that they can do. Here I would say we are ignoring one important aspect when we talk about emotions, that our emotions are linked to the rhythms of our breath. Neither at home nor at school we are taught how to manage our emotions. It's normal to get agitated. It's normal to get upset. But how long can you be upset? It's not in your control. But if we know something about our own breathing patterns and how it can impact our mind, and we can be in charge of our emotions, it really brings so much empowerment in ourselves and makes us so centered. Second, or we idealize, oh, I should never get angry. I usually see moms feeling so upset when they get upset with the kids at home, and they get upset because they got upset. You see, and then the cycle goes on. There is a sense of acceptance about all these emotions. No emotion is good or bad. They are there. They make you human being. It's emotions that makes us alive, that makes us different from other objects. Now, how to channel the negative emotion, how to transform that into positive emotion, this is a challenge. And here I would say our breath work and our broadened awareness and a look at our own life and how we have handled such emotions before can help us to be more centered. Now, I would like to say something here about different emotions connected with different chakras in our own body. You know, each emotion has a particular sensation in a particular part of the body. And this, in the yogic science, we call the chakras, the 7 chakras in the body. Actually, there are 109 chakras. Chakras are energy points. Of the 109, these 7 are more important. For example, the navel chakra, the solar plexus, is for jealousy, generosity, joy, and then greed. All these 4, 4 emotions, you find the sensation there. Now, fear, anger, and hatred, they're all in one area, that is the heart chakra. Someone who has hatred, they have no love and no fear. If you are afraid, then there is no hate nor love. Because it's the same emotion which expresses in one pattern or other. They are linked. It's the same energy, life force, which it gets expressed as hatred. You find all these Naxalites and the militants, they have so much hatred. But why that hatred? Because they have love also. The same amount of love also they have. And fear, these 3 things. And then you go to the throat chakra. This is where you find grief and gratefulness. When you feel grateful, your throat chokes. And when you are so sad, there is some sensation that arises in the throat. Similarly, in between the eyebrows, the third eye point, this is anger and alertness. You will see, if you are alert, at that moment anger is not expressed. But if you are angry, at that moment there is no alertness. These 2 opposite expression of a same energy is in our body, and this goes up and down. So you can't label this is bad, this is good. It's one energy, one electricity, one life force. Now, anger and alertness. Often you'll find people who are very alert, they are prone to get angry more. That particular spot in their body is more activated. Similarly, when the energy reaches to the top of the head, there is colorfulness, a blissfulness. There is a sense of total peace and tranquility, a sense of oneness with everybody. So you feel that everyone belongs to you. In India, grandmothers used to say, if child is getting upset or so, what did you feed him today? Or so, your food impacts your mind. If someone is doing brilliant work, what did they feed you today? So, Vata, Pitta, Kapha, Ayurveda describes a lot about behavioral tendencies of people connected to the doshas, the balances in the body. How the doshas function through them. So, if someone is high in Pitta, you give them Mexican food or some chili, and then that's it. You can expect some firecrackers coming out. Healthy emotion is that which stays only as long as you draw a line on the water. Have you noticed the kids are angry or they're crying and the tears are still on their cheek and the skin starts smiling in no time. They'll smile immediately. For an adult, for them to smile back when they're upset, I don't know how long it takes. Maybe months. So this emotional resilience is inbuilt in us. I find two main things in the whole world when I see. In some part of the world, we express our emotion a lot. We keep telling, oh, I love you, oh, honey, and all that stuff a lot. But then somewhere then you turn to be diabetic and you can't use the honey also. On the other side of the planet, in some countries, you bury your emotions so much that you never say the word I love you to anybody. Your emotions are not expressed. You will find it in many Asian countries, the women, they don't express their emotions. And so that becomes a huge pressure, and we build up the pressure in the mind, and then it gives rise to many psychological and physiological problems. The middle path is what is essential here, and that is possible if we become aware of the life from a broader context. What do you say, Susan?
Yes. Well, I mean, absolutely. When we suppress emotions, there's an amplification effect. When you try not to think about something, you think about that thing. It's fascinating to me that we live very much in a society that seems to encourage emotional suppression. And what I hear you saying so beautifully is there's a cultural narrative around emotions that actually leads us to lose our way from ourselves, leads us to become decentered and uncentered. I wonder, what is that thing? It sounds like you're speaking to an essence of self that is wise. And I'm wondering if you can talk about that.
See, there is something which is beyond emotion in all of us, our spirit. Emotions are changing. No emotion can be the same all through. Their intensity changes, their expression changes. When a couple fall in love with each other, they express their love a lot, and then as time goes and their expression takes a little back seat, I suppose, and then the whole thing starts, you don't love me, and do you really love me? All these questions.
But you didn't buy me flowers.
All that stuff.
Where's my coffee in bed?
But there is something that doesn't change in us. But we don't pay attention to that aspect of our life.
Yeah.
Our thoughts, our body changes, our thoughts change, our emotions change. But to realize the change, there need to be some reference point which is not changing. Because of its presence, that something is present in us that is not changing, we are able to notice the changes as well. being in touch with that aspect of us that doesn't change, the self, is what is meditation. And meditation doesn't make you dull and dry. It helps you to enjoy the emotions better. Instead of getting embroiled in it, it helps you to witness and watch the emotions and be with it. As I'm talking, in your mind there is a dialogue going on. Are you aware of that dialogue? You say yes, yes, or no, no. There is agreement or disagreement. We are going through that, right? Are we aware of this? Similarly, you see someone and they are pushing your buttons and you get so upset, annoyed, and something is happening, a sensation is arising inside of you. Are you aware of those sensations? If we are aware, then we filter whether to act on it or not act on it. But those who do not have this filter, they end up in the jail. They too got all these emotions and they just acted from those emotions, and they feel so helpless. If you interact with the so-called criminals, you find in all those culprits there is a victim crying for help, because they just out of an emotional outburst they did something which they were not wanting to do, in fact. So how can we channelize our emotion, this energy? This is possible only when we are able to take a little step back from the emotions and then give a proper channel to those emotions. Instead of shunning them down or shutting it off or getting dragged by it, you are able to handle it for your advantage.
Yeah, I think that's such a powerful perspective, that psychological capacity to helicopter above your emotion. One of the things that I often think of in my work is how when we are sad, we'll often say something like, I am sad. I am angry. That language that we use is so powerful, because when we say something like I am, it's almost like we are defining ourselves by the emotion. 100% of me is sad and there's no space for anything else.